Maple Ridge Estates was supposed to be a quiet, well-kept neighborhood. The kind of place where retirees sipped lemonade on porches and kids rode bikes down freshly paved streets. At least, that's what the brochure promised. No one mentioned Karen Whitmore, HOA president, rule enforcer. Absolute nightmare. I first met her 3 days after closing on my house. I'd been pressure washing the driveway when a shadow fell across the pavement. "You're using that nozzle." I turned to see a woman in her late 50s, arms crossed, lips pursed, like she'd just bitten into a lemon. Her designer sunglasses reflected my confused face back at me. Yeah? She tapped a manicured nail against a laminated sheet. Section 8.3. Pressure washers restricted to low-flow nozzles to prevent property damage. Yours is clearly high pressure. Turn it off immediately, or I'll issue a violation. I stared at her. It's water. It's policy. That was Karen Whitmore in a nutshell. The bylaw that broke me. For months, I tolerated the petty citations. $50 for leaving my trash cans out an hour too long. $75 for excessive mulch in the flower beds. But the final straw came on a sweltering Saturday in July. A pipe burst in my basement. Water gushed across the concrete floor, soaking boxes of old college textbooks. I sprinted to the shut-off valve, twisted it closed, and got to work. 2 hours later, soaked and exhausted, I opened the valve again. Crisis averted until Monday. A certified letter waited in my mailbox. Violation notice. Unauthorized water disruption. $200 fine. My hand shook as I read the attached bylaws. All homeowners must maintain continuous water service. Emergency. Shutoffs require prior HOA approval, except in life-threatening scenarios. Life-threatening? Since when did fixing a pipe require bureaucratic permission? The showdown. I stormed into the next HOA meeting, slamming the notice onto the conference table. Karen didn't even flinch. "Explain this." She adjusted her glasses. "The rule prevents frozen pipes in winter. It's July. Prevention," she said smoothly, "requires consistency." Around the table, board members nodded, like obedient puppets. I leaned in. "So if my house floods again, I'm supposed to call you before stopping it?" "Correct." The room fell silent. Even the other homeowners shifted uncomfortably. I lowered my voice. "You're insane." Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Pay the fine, Mr. Carter, or we'll place a lien on your property." The line in the sand. That night, I pored over the HOA documents. Buried in the legalese, a single sentence stood out. Emergency repairs may temporarily override bylaws if documented within 48 hours. A loophole. A tiny one, but enough. The next morning, I turned off my water main again, deliberately, obnoxiously. Then I waited. It took 17 minutes. Karen's Lexus screeched to a halt at my curb. She marched up the driveway, her heels clicking like gunfire. "Turn it on." I crossed my arms. "Fixing a leak. You're testing me. And you're trespassing." Her nostrils flared. For a heartbeat, I thought she might actually lunge at me. Then she pulled out her phone. "We'll see what the police think." As she dialed 911, I couldn't help but grin. Game on. Karen's manicured finger hovered over her phone screen, her entire body vibrating with barely contained fury. The 911 operator's tinny voice crackled through the speaker. "What's your emergency?" "I need an officer at 142 Maple Ridge Drive. Immediately," she spat, her eyes never leaving mine. "A homeowner is willfully violating HOA regulations. I leaned against my porch railing, arms crossed. The mid-morning sun baked the pavement between us, the air thick with the scent of freshly cut grass and impending confrontation. The operator's pause was audible. "Ma'am, is this a life-threatening situation?" Karen's grip tightened on her phone. "It's a contractual emergency." I barked out a laugh. "She's calling the cops because I turned off my own water." Another pause. Then, slowly, "Officers are en route." Karen hung up with a satisfied smirk. "You're finished." The law arrives. The squad car rolled up 12 minutes later, its light bar dark. A weary-looking officer in his late 40s stepped out, his salt and pepper mustache twitching as he surveyed the scene. Karen, rigid with outrage. Me, grinning like an idiot, and the silent, watching neighbors peering through blinds. "All right," he sighed, flipping open his notepad. "What's the problem?" Karen launched forward. "This man is in flagrant violation of our HOA bylaws. He shut off his water main without authorization, and when confronted..." "Hold on." The officer held up a hand. "Sir, is this your property?" "Yes." "And you turned off your own water?" "To fix a leak." "Yeah." The officer blinked. Slowly, he turned back to Karen. "Ma'am, that's not a crime." Karen's face purpled. "It's a violation. The bylaws clearly state..." "Bylaws aren't laws," the officer interrupted. "Unless he's breaking a city ordinance, there's nothing I can do." A choked noise escaped Karen's throat. "So he just gets away with it?" The officer shrugged. "Unless you've got a warrant. Yeah." The neighborhood watches. The spectacle had drawn a crowd. Mrs. Lopez from across the street stood on her lawn, phone raised. Old Mr. Henderson chuckled into his coffee. Even the Johnsons, normally too cowed to speak up, lingered near their driveway, eyes wide. Karen whirled on them. "This is exactly why rules exist. If one person flouts them, the whole neighborhood crumbles." Her voice echoed across the street. Nobody moved. Then, from the back of the crowd, a single slow clap. Mrs. Lopez lowered her phone. "Bravo, Karen. Truly heroic." A snicker rippled through the neighbors. Karen's jaw worked soundlessly. The officer cleared his throat. "All right, folks. Show's over." He tipped his hat at me. "Sir, maybe..." "Don't antagonize the HOA." I smirked. "No promises." As the squad car pulled away, Karen stood frozen on my driveway, her perfect facade cracking at the edges. "You think you've won," she hissed. I leaned in. "I know I have." The aftermath. By sunset, the entire neighborhood knew. The Facebook group exploded. Did Karen really call the cops over a water valve? Who does she think she is? This has gone too far. Even the normally silent residents chimed in. The HOA's tyranny had been tolerated for years. But now, the dam had broken. My phone buzzed with texts. "Dude, you're a legend. We're with you." "Karen's gonna lose it." I scrolled through the messages, a slow grin spreading. This wasn't just about water anymore. It was war. The trap. The next morning, I printed every absurd violation Karen had ever issued. The $150 fine for unauthorized bird feeders, the threats over a toddler's chalk drawings, and taped them to the community bulletin board. Then, with deliberate theatrics, I marched to my water main and turned it off again. This time, I didn't wait for Karen. I wanted an audience. The metallic clank of the water valve shutting echoed through the morning air like a starting pistol. I made sure to do it loudly, dramatically. leaning my full weight against the rusted handle until it groaned into the off position. Neighbours peeked through curtains. A jogger slowed to watch. Old Mr. Henderson paused his morning paper to raise an approving eyebrow. I checked my watch. 3, 2, 1. Karen's Lexus screeched around the corner, right on cue. The breaking point. She didn't even bother parking properly. Her car lurching onto my lawn as she launched herself out, heels sinking into the grass. Today's power suit was canary yellow, a visual warning if I'd ever seen one. Turn it on. Each word came out like a gunshot. I wiped imaginary dirt from my hands. Can't. Emergency pipe maintenance. Her finger jabbed toward the valve. There is no leak. Not yet, I said cheerfully. Preventative measures. You understand. Consistency is key. The vein in her temple pulsed dangerously. Behind her, a small crowd had gathered. Mrs. Lopez, filming discreetly. The Johnson kids wide-eyed with popcorn-worthy excitement. Karen's voice dropped to a venomous whisper. You're making a mockery of this community. No, I said, matching her tone. You did that when you called the cops on me for basic home repairs. The paper trail. I reached into my back pocket and unfolded a crisp document. Funny thing about HOA bylaws. They're not actually laws, just contracts. I handed her the paper. And contracts can be changed. Karen snatched it, her eyes scanning the text. The color drained from her face. It was a petition. We, the undersigned residents of Maple Ridge Estates, demand an emergency vote to dissolve the current HOA board and repeal all non-safety related property restrictions. Beneath, 23 signatures, and counting. Her hands trembled. This is mutiny. Mr. Henderson stepped forward, his voice steady. No, Karen, it's democracy. The tipping point. The dam broke all at once. Mrs. Lopez spoke up. You fined me for planting native wildflowers. The Johnsons. Our kids can't even have a slip and slide. A chorus of grievances erupted. Over garbage cans, mailbox, colors, even the shady of beige allowed on shutters. Karen backed toward her car like a cornered animal. You'll regret this. The bylaws clearly state the bylaws are bullshit. The words exploded from me, louder than intended. The crowd fell silent. I took a breath. We bought these homes. We pay these fees. And for what? To be harassed over water valves. I turned to Karen. It's over. For the first time, something like fear flickered in her eyes. The reckoning. The emergency meeting was scheduled for that evening. By 6 p.m., the community clubhouse was packed. Standing room only. Neighbours spilling out the doors. Karen sat at the head table, flanked by her shell-shocked board members. The once impeccable HOA president looked small, deflated. Stood, holding up the petition, now bearing 37 signatures. Motion to dissolve the current board and hold new elections. The vote was unanimous. The aftermath. Karen left without a word, her Lexus peeling out of the parking lot. The remaining board members resigned on the spot, as is the new interim president. Somehow, me, the guy who'd started this whole mess by turning off his dam water. I made one decree. Effective immediately, all non-safety related fines are suspended pending full bylaws review. The cheer nearly blew the roof off. The trap springs. I found Karen's final revenge the next morning, taped to my front door. Final notice, unauthorized gathering, exceeds 10 persons without permit. $500 fine dated yesterday. I laughed until my sides hurt. Then I did what any reasonable homeowner would do. I turned my water off one last time. The morning air smelled of freshly cut grass and sweet revenge as I knelt before my water main, adjusting the padlock with deliberate care. Around me, Maple Ridge Estates buzzed with unusual energy. Neighbors lingered on porches. Children paused, their bike rides, all eyes subtly trained on my driveway. They knew what was coming. Karen arrived precisely 7 minutes later. Her Lexus screeched to a halt at such an aggressive angle that her passenger wheels mounted my lawn, leaving deep, tread marks in the sod. She emerged like a storm front. Today's power suit a venomous shade of emerald. Her manicured fingers already curled into claws. "You!" she hissed, jabbing a finger at the padlock. "Remove that immediately." I rose slowly, dusting my knees. "Can't. Emergency maintenance." "There is no emergency." "Not yet," I said, tapping the laminated sign hanging from the valve. Under repair per HOA. Bylaw 12.4. Unauthorized tampering will result in fines. Karen's face contorted through shades of crimson before settling on puce. The crowd of neighbors, now numbering at least 20, edged closer, their murmurs forming a low, judgmental chorus. The trap springs. With trembling hands, Karen produced a key ring from her designer purse. As HOA former President, Mr. Henderson corrected from the crowd, "I am authorized to address violations." She shoved a key into the padlock. The click echoed like a gunshot. As the lock fell away, I raised my phone and captured the moment in crisp 4K. Karen Whitmore, disgraced HOA tyrant, illegally tampering with private property. She froze mid-reach, suddenly understanding the trap. "By your own bylaws," I said pleasantly. "That's a $750 fine." The neighborhood erupted. Mrs. Lopez whooped. The Johnson kids cheered. Even stoic Mr. Henderson cracked a smile. Karen stood paralyzed, her hands still hovering near the valve, the weight of her own bureaucracy crushing her. The reckoning. The emergency meeting that night had the atmosphere of a revolution. The clubhouse overflowed. Residents lined the walls, spilled into the hallway, some peering through windows. The remaining board members sat slumped at the front table, looking like prisoners awaiting sentencing. I placed the damning photo before them. Motion to dismiss all outstanding fines and repeal the water maintenance bylaw. The vote took 30 seconds, unanimous. The aftermath. Changes came swiftly. Mrs. Lopez painted her front door sunshine yellow. The Johnsons installed a backyard zip line. Mr. Henderson built a pergola, not technically, a structure requiring approval. As for me, I hosted the neighborhood's first unpermitted block party, complete with a slip and slide that stretched across 3 lawns. The police were called by Karen. They left after 10 minutes, one officer pocketing a hot dog as they went. Epilogue. The last word. The postcard arrived on a Tuesday. No return address. Just a glossy image of a Florida retirement community and 3 handwritten words. "You win, bastard." I had it framed. It hangs in my basement now, right above the water main, which, for the record, I can turn off whenever I damn well please.